Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike Sainato with Real Progressives. This afternoon, we have an earlier show than what I'm used to. We have with us director Josh Fox, who has a new documentary coming out this Saturday that's available for live stream. It's called Awake, Dream from Stanley, about the No Dapple protests, and it's being released coinciding with Earth Day. Josh, thanks for coming on the show this afternoon.
My pleasure. It's good to be here. I want to share this. So where do I share it? I'm looking on Facebook.
It'll be on Real Progressives, the Facebook Real Progressives page.
Find it as we go along. I'm not even on my Facebook page, but that's cool. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're very excited about bringing this movie out, and we want to see people watch it.
So can you tell me a little bit about your experience making the movie, and your experiences in general? I know you've spent a lot of time at the Standing Rock camps. So can you just tell us a little bit about how you made this film?
Okay, sure. Well, originally I hadn't intended to make a feature film on Standing Rock. I was going there to do some reporting for Now This, and I felt like compelled that I had to be at Standing Rock, as so many of us felt that pull because we saw what was going on. My first interactions with what was going on there were because of Shailene Woodley. Shailene and I were Bernie Sanders surrogates together. We went on the road with Bernie, and right after the Democratic convention, we were all talking about, well, what are we going to be doing next? I was running something called Climate Revolution. There were these rallies that were happening all across the country. And Shailene said, look, I'm going to be working on this pipeline issue at Standing Rock Reservation. I said, well, what is that? I don't know anything about it. She said, look, she explained to me what was happening, and she told me the youth council from Standing Rock were actually running across the country to from Standing Rock Reservation at the center of the continent, 1,000 miles to Washington, D.C., and then they were going to run from D.C. to New York City, and would I please do a rally with her and Rosario Dawson in Union Square in New York City? And I said, yeah, of course. That sounds unbelievable. So we set that up. I think it was August 5th. It was a Saturday or a Sunday. And the youth council that was running from D.C. to New York were 4 hours late. And people still didn't leave, which was amazing. Like the rally was scheduled for 1. I don't think they got there till 5 o'clock. And we did the rally at 5 o'clock, and people were still there. There was an intense fascination and outrage and support of what these kids were doing because the story got out. They were running to protect their water. They were running to protect the Missouri River, the only source of water for the Standing Rock Sioux Nation and also for 17 million people downstream. And knowing a bit about pipelines and fossil fuel industry and fracking and all the things that are related to the issue, I felt, I needed to speak out about how these people were not just protecting their own watershed, but also protecting New York City and protecting people in coastal cities because of the threat of sea level rise and fighting for us in terms of climate change. So I didn't end up getting to Standing Rock until November. And that's when I realized that this was not primarily an issue, although it definitely includes this of the environment or of climate change. But this was about indigenous sovereignty, and this was about justice in America. And that when you have an oil company threatening to drill underneath the water supply with the pipelines that we know leak, and that it is not a matter of when, if this pipeline will despoil their water supply, but when, that this starts to go in line with 400 years of oppression of Native peoples on this continent. And that we're fighting for something in a way, almost more important, that these people have been abused and maligned for centuries, and that the oil industry is now acting as the ideological and genealogical descendants of General Custer. That when they come in to invade Standing Rock, they're invading the very soul of what we consider to be modern notions of justice in America. And that this country was founded on a genocide, and that genocide and oppression of Native peoples continues at the hands of the oil companies and their politicians that protect them. So reporting at Standing Rock from November on for several weeks in November and December and January, that was very, very important to me. And I still didn't have enough to make a whole feature film, and I didn't think I wanted to make a whole feature film on my own. So I went to other filmmakers who were there and other collaborators and people that I had met and said, let's put a project together with all of us working together so that we can do it faster, so that we can get this out in the beginning stages of the Trump administration, which was our ambition, and we succeeded. So I called my friend James Spion, who's an amazing documentarian, Oscar-nominated documentarian, who I've known for many years. And he was on his way to Standing Rock. I said, will you contribute a segment? And I went to Myron Dewey from Digital Smoke Signals, who was brilliant and incredible and had been at Standing Rock for 4 months straight as a drone pilot and other things, reporting at Standing Rock. And he created a segment. So the film is 3 chapters, one directed by me, one by James, one by Myron. It's co-written by one of the subjects of the documentary, Clarice Whitepole, who is the first person that I met to talk about Standing Rock while I was there. She is an unbelievable voice that I felt the world needed to hear more of. She's a water protector. She's from Standing Rock. And so wanting to get her story out there and a number of other water protectors. I am not, she is the narrator of the film. She's a co-writer. And Doug Goodfeather, also from Standing Rock, who's a great spiritual and just all-around leader, is executive producer and also one of the subjects. So it's a collaboration project among water protectors, journalists, and we're very proud of the result. And it's called Awake, A Dream from Standing Rock, which is, because it is a very dreamlike film. It has a dreamlike quality to it. So we're excited to bring that out to the public. We think this is a new kind of information about what happened at Standing Rock, other than just the short pieces that we've been seeing on the internet.
And what lessons would like people take from watching this film, especially given that we didn't see the greatest results, and we're facing a Trump administration and Republican majorities in Congress that have no concern whatsoever for the environment. So what advice would you give to environmentalists and progressives in resisting and mobilizing and organizing valid opposition to this administration and these opposing forces, these corporations moving forward?
Well, this is a dark, dark time. There's no question about it. This is a very, very difficult moment. The Trump administration is probably the most hostile towards the environment of any administration that we've ever seen in my lifetime. And that's saying a lot, considering Ronald Reagan and George Bush administrations were extraordinarily hostile towards the environment. We made the film to say, you can't give up. We made the film to be inspiring. We made the film to say that the strength of our movement is not measured by our victories or our losses. It is measured by how many times we get back up. The fight is not over until someone doesn't get back up again. So this movie, we created it. Yes, there is a profound tragedy in the loss at Standing Rock, and it is getting people very, very depressed and upset. And a lot of water protectors are very, very anguished, as am I, by us not winning that struggle. But this is a film that says the spirit of what happened with the water protectors at Standing Rock has to continue, and that we created something new on the planet that's never been seen before. And that those protest camps of Chetiseko and Sacred Stone, the places that show us a new way, that is a hallmark of our protests going forward. We want to see those values on display, those indigenous values leading the way of peacefulness, of prayer, of spirituality, of generosity, of communal development, of human rights. These protest camps are like amazing places. Right? When you got there, you saw teepees and tents and mobile homes and people who had camped out, and there were fires going and songs every night. And the generosity that was on display, it was really an amazing thing. Like, you know, if you didn't know that there were these confrontations happening with the authorities, it would have seemed like a Woodstock or some kind of like festival, you know?
Yeah, that's how they tried to make it seem like, you know, especially when a lot of the media outlets were just parroting what the Morton County Sheriff's Department was.
Well, I mean, and then of course you had these violent confrontations with the police that were violent on only one side. They were violent from the police. The water protectors, all the ceremonies and all of the direct actions that I saw were 100% peaceful. You have people who are praying, being attacked by military armed police with LRADs, noise cannons, with pepper spray and mace and rubber bullets and beanbag rounds and concussion grenades. And many, many people were traumatized, and many, many people were hurt and injured. And that police force was operating as a nameless, faceless, authoritarian force. Nameless, I say, because they were not, they didn't have to wear name tags. If you don't wear a name tag, you're not a cop. That's in my book. And they were wearing, in many cases, riot helmets with glass shields that you could not see what their faces were. They could not be identified. So you're literally being shot at and maced and tear gassed by people you cannot see or identify. They have no accountability. They have no, and that I found one of the ultimate acts of cowardice. Not only is it just ultimate cowardice to shoot at unarmed people who are praying, elders, children, medics, journalists, demonstrators. But to do that and say, I'm not even, man enough, I'm not even courageous enough to identify myself. I'm going to do this anonymously, like a sniper behind a bush. You know what I mean? By shielding my identity from you so that I am not accountable anymore. I mean, my friend Erin Schrody, colleague from CNN, shot in the back by a rubber bullet while she was in the middle of an interview. They denied that ever happened. Friends of mine from Honor the Earth, Tara Hauska, and other friends, shot at with beanbag rounds, narrowly avoided getting hit in the face. Other friends of mine who got hit throughout the body and the torso. Sophia Wolanski, a 21-year-old girl from the Bronx, who went there to be a water protector, had her arm completely blown off, had to be reattached to surgery, and she will have surgeries till the day she dies on that arm because it's a miracle that it didn't have to be amputated. It was blown to smithereens. And these were the police actions, and that's in the film. So showing that reality of this very stark contrast between water protectors who are peaceful, and the police that are out of control. That was one of the things that we really needed to highlight.
And now that the No Dapple protests have ended,
in the camera. Sandy, she was really Sandy. Come on.
Well, now that they've ended, what can people do to make sure that Native American issues don't fall by the wayside, especially now that there's so much noise and focus on opposing Trump and the Republicans?
Well, I think that is one of the things that we can do. But we at our website, which is awakethefilm.org. Let me just say how this is going to be available. I'll talk about the engagement part of it next. We're premiering the film at Tribeca Film Festival in New York City. But simultaneous to that, we have our website, which is awakethefilm.org, awakethefilm.org, simulcasting the film. So you can watch it at awakethefilm.org if you make a donation of more than $1. And that's totally up to you. It's donate what you can. The dollar sliding scale, I think, goes from $1 all the way up to like $200. And for that, you get the film streaming for 3 days. Now, 100% of those proceeds go to the movement. We as directors did not want to make any profit off of this film. We wanted to make sure that revenue went to the movement. So we have developed an Indigenous Media Fund to encourage more Indigenous filmmakers and reporters and media. And that is being overseen by the filmmakers, as well as Doug Goodfeather and Fabrice Whitepole from Standing Rock. We have a Pipeline Fighters Fund, which is going towards helping further pipeline battles. We're also asking people to donate to the Fresh It Collective so that water protectors Legal funds can get some donations because there's a lot of legal bills right now that are mounting for totally crazy and trumped up charges against water protectors. And we're asking people to help water protectors' mental health. A lot of water protectors are really traumatized. A lot of people are very deeply hurt and affected by what happened and feeling very down. And there is something called the Lakota Way Healing Center at lakotaway.org, which is run by Doug Goodfeather, that combines Native American ceremony with traditional psychology for healing. And so we're trying to get the healing effort out there for water protectors because that's needed right now. So there are ways that the money is going towards people, but we're also encouraging. We have a house party guide and an action guide that goes along with the film, so people can download that from the website. And that's a 5-point plan. Number one is absolutely continue to resist. Resist Trump, be a part of those resistance rallies, be a part of those actions. Number two, there are protest camps right now that are being built against pipelines in Iowa and in Pennsylvania, Florida. And you can find those actions and join those protests in the spirit of the water protectors. Go along with them. There are many, many, many other pipelines that they need to fight. Number three, obviously, make those donations. Number four is divest your personal funds. Make sure that you are divesting. If you have money in Chase or Bank of America or Wells Fargo or Citibank, that money is going to project. And the bankers, your money doesn't just sit there while you're not using it. The bankers and the banks invest it for you, and they invest it in things like the Dakota Access Pipeline. So we're calling on people to take their money out of those banks until those banks stop investing in fossil fuel projects and in projects that oppress Native people. So those are some of the things involved in our plans, and we hope that people take those things seriously and participate in the ways that they can.
And just one of my last questions is, with the Dakota Access Pipeline, a lot of our...
You're breaking up here.
Okay. If you can hear me now.
Uh-oh, I lost you. Oh, there you go. There you are.
Okay. All right. So my question is, I know it's back to me. Well, give it a second to catch up. Okay. So my question is, our ostensible allies, a lot of the Democratic Party members, they were silent when it came to the Dakota protests. In Florida, having a lot of trouble getting Florida politicians to oppose the state withdrawal pipeline. So my question is, what advice would you give to activists to push Democrats to actually, oppose the environment, and stand with activists and progressives in these fights?
Well, I've been very vocal in my disappointment with the Democratic Party. I think that a lot of people are. When you see Bernie Sanders on the road with Tom Perez, and Tom Perez gets booed, and Bernie Sanders, is getting cheered, you see the problem. So I think we need, I think we need a new party. I think we need something to challenge these Democrats. I think we need a new movement. I think our revolution is doing a lot of that by supporting new candidates and different candidates. But I don't think we have a current political infrastructure to voice the majority of Americans' views right now. So a number of us have said, draft Bernie for a new political party. That's a new thing that's happening. You can look up draft Bernie for a new political party. At the same time, I don't think there are going to be some Democrats with a great pedigree, and we have to go after, help support them. So, you have this thing that just happened in Georgia last night. We could flip the 6th district in Georgia, so people should go and campaign, for the candidate there. I think there's a lot of races that are being run right now. My friend Christine Pellegrino in Long Island, we're running for New York State Assembly. Our revolution is keeping track of a lot of these candidates. And those are the candidates that have an endorsement from Bernie's own political organization. So I think the Bernie political revolution continues, and we have to keep pushing for that. But I do think that the Democrats, the establishment Democrats, have refused to distance themselves from the lobbyists, from the big banks, from the fracking industry. And I think that means we have to fight them, and we have to primary them, and we have to show that there's a different political will in America right now. And we have to do that under a new rubric. And I think that either is a new political party or it's a new movement of some kind that suggests that these Democrats must get with the people and distance themselves from the corporations if they want to continue to have votes and support.
And when you go, is there anything else about your new documentary or anything else that you're
Well, I really think, if you've seen Gasland or Gasland Part 2 or my film last year, How to Let Go of the World and Love All the Things Climate Can't Change, that was kind of a trilogy of movies. And you know that I'm in those movies and I'm going through my personal journey of dealing with the fracking industry and then dealing with the corruption of the government and then looking at climate change. All three of those films were on HBO. And they're very much like my personal journey through that. This film is very different. I'm not in this film. I'm one of the directors, but I'm one of the writers, but I'm not in it. But don't expect to see me guide that. I think you're in amazing and capable hands with Faris Whitebowl and Myron Dewey as narrators and subject. This film is not on HBO. This film will rely on people sending the message out there, which is why I'm out doing as many interviews as I possibly can, trying to reach people. I'm live streaming every day, talking about the release. This film could be really, truly disruptive of mainstream media if we get millions of people to watch it. If we get millions of people to watch this movie and give $1 or $2, first of all, we're going to create millions of dollars towards further indigenous reporting. That's huge and very, very important. So people have to share the film, donate, work with this, because look, the mainstream media right now is out there supporting war. They are not holding Donald Trump accountable. They have failed to hold Hillary Clinton and the mainstream Democrats accountable for their losses. We have seen bad reporting, warmongering, hawkish behavior. If we want to change that, we have to change the way media works. And that's why we're doing this in a new way. And we're saying, this film, we have an opportunity as people to share it and then have that the funds from that, rather than go to some mega corporation, right, go towards water protectors, towards fighting the fight, and towards new indigenous media. I think that's extremely important, and that's why, and that I think will show something very hopeful. So we want millions of people to watch the film, share it, and we're not asking for much. Like $1 is totally fine. I mean, if you want to give $5, great. That's the suggested price, but give $1, no problem. But go ahead and watch the movie. Watch it in the first month that we have it out there, let's get this happening, because if we can show that user-driven media works, that's going to be a big threat to that, not only to the politicians to support the mainstream, but to the media that refuses to report the story in the right way. We can show how that works.
All right. Well, thank you, Josh. It was great having you on this afternoon. Thank you for coming on. This video will be available on YouTube either later today or tomorrow, and we'll be sure to post the website where you can find the film beginning, I believe, 8:45 on Saturday. I think it starts during the day on Saturday. I'm not sure. I have to check, but I think Saturday the 22nd it's pretty much open. Our premiere at Tribeca is 8:30 p.m. and we're gonna be live streaming from that premiere. Doug Goodfeather will be here in New York City for his Whitebowl, Myron Dewey, and a lot of really exciting special guests are going to be there. So watch my live stream, watch the live stream from People for Bernie, and we're going to get that moving. All right. Well, thank you, Josh, and thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
All right. Thanks so much for having me.